The long-awaited Durham report, 4 years later, has finally been released. Special counsel John Durham found that the Department of Justice and the FBI, quote, failed to uphold their mission and never should have launched the Trump-Russia investigation. David Spunt is standing by to break this down, and then we'll dig into it here. Hi, David.
Hi, Martha. Hi, everyone. Literally 4 years, actually 4 years in 2 days, May 13th, 2019. That is when John Durham, then U.S. Attorney in Connecticut, was tapped to look at the origins of the Trump-Russia probe. He wrote today in his 306-page report that the findings are sobering. There's one big theme here, that the Hillary Clinton campaign was treated much differently than the Donald Trump campaign. I want to pull out one important quote here. Again, this is one of many. He wrote, quote, "We conclude that the department and the FBI failed to uphold their important mission of strict fidelity to the law in connection with certain events and activities described in this report," end quote. Now, first, we have to go back to the years 2016, 2017, the primary focus of this report. Now, the overarching theme, as I say, Durham says the FBI rushed an investigation called Crossfire Hurricane without the proper basis. Crossfire Hurricane is the umbrella name for the investigation into alleged connections between the Trump campaign and Russia. Now, Durham took 2 cases to trial over the past 4 years. He lost them both. The first, Michael Sussman, a cyber lawyer with ties to the Clinton campaign. The other, Igor Danchenko, a Russian intelligence operative who helped craft that infamous Steele dossier, full of salacious allegations about then candidate Donald Trump. Kevin Kleinsmith was a former FBI attorney. He actually pleaded guilty to altering a document used to surveil a Trump campaign aide. Now, the FBI was then under the leadership of Jim Comey. It's changed many times since then, several layers of leadership. The FBI putting out a statement today, had those reforms been in place since 2016, the missteps identified in the report could have been prevented. This report reinforces the importance of ensuring the FBI continues to do its work with the rigor, objectivity, and professionalism the American people deserve and rightly expect. Now, President Biden's Attorney General Merrick Garland received, Martha, this Durham report on Friday, looked at it over the weekend, gave it today to Congress, and transmitted it to the public without making any changes. So it's the way Durham wants it to be to the public. Martha?
All right, David Spunt, thank you very much.
You bet.
Well, this has been, as David said, 4 years and millions of dollars in the making. And in just the first few pages, you get a very strong sense of what they determined here, which is what we've been talking about here for years. And that is that this whole Crossfire Hurricane investigation was launched on the thinnest thread from an Australian informant. They ignored what their own Russian analysts were telling them. At the same time, they had similar inquiries into the Hillary Clinton campaign, which they just shelved and ignored completely. It is so clear, reading through this document, that Andrew McCabe and Peter Strzok and James Comey, who was at the top of the FBI, had a plan that they executed regardless of what the facts were. And it falls, I think, quite cleanly into a Trump derangement that had its grip on the FBI in the wake of the 2016 election. There is so much contradictory behavior here, from the way that Trump was treated and the way that the Clinton campaign was treated. This is an enormous embarrassment. I said earlier, Janine, that there are so many media organizations who have so much egg on their face today. And I was looking while this news was breaking at the lower thirds on the other channels. FBI says there was no foundation for this investigation. And my mind is just replaying Jim Brennan, James Clapper, awaiting for all of these indictments. It is appalling what was thrust upon the American people with this story when you dig into how little they built all of this on, Janine.
Well, it's not just the legal piece of it where they say that the FBI and the DOJ failed to uphold their mission to strict fidelity to the law. They split this country apart. They had families not talking to each other, parties more and more divided. And here we are 7 years later, still divided. And yet everything that we said is true. Everything that we accused them of was true. Jim Comey had no right to come out and say no reasonable prosecutor would try Hillary. And this guy, Kevin Kleinsmith, where are the defendants? Kleinsmith actually altered the basis for a warrant. He's still practicing law. The Durham lost 2 cases. cases, Danchenko and Sussman. So to me, I have to tell you, I am disgusted. It's all words, and I am more disgusted that the FBI comes out and says, had those reforms been in place, none of this would ever have happened. That's baloney, and I'll tell you why it's baloney. Because we had people protesting a Supreme Court justice's home, trying to get them to change an impending decision and a federal statute. There was no arrest because we had the DOJ saying that parents are domestic terrorists. We have an out-of-control intelligence agency, 51 intelligence agents lying about Russian disinformation. We've got DOJ, FBI. They're not afraid of anything anymore, Martha, because none of them are having their feet held to the fire. And is the New York Times or the Washington Post going to return the Pulitzers? No way.
Absolutely. Jesse, you know, you look at this case and I think about the day that James Comey was fired and the horrified reactions from other networks, right? And I'm thinking, well, if he had, there was every reason to fire him. If he was still in place, he should be fired today based on his absolute negligence, and not only negligence, manipulation of the truth.
Well, Democrats win elections, and we get a report 4 years old that told us everything we already knew. We already knew that they framed Donald Trump for treason. We knew the fact that Hillary created the Russia collusion hoax. We knew Barack Obama was briefed on crooked scam to link him to Russia. And we knew that they fabricated evidence to spy on the Trump campaign. Obama administration officials spied on the Trump campaign illegally based on a hoax that Crooked cooked up. And then they cleaned it all up with the Mueller investigation, which was a fake investigation designed to tee up an impeachment that didn't work. Here's what we didn't know. We didn't know this. We didn't know that the FBI shut down investigations into the Clinton Foundation. We didn't know that they shut down investigations into illegal foreign contributions to the Clinton campaign. Also, new details that Durham brings out. Comey was the one who personally pushed for the spying. He pushed hard for the FISA. And now we're finding out that the FBI told their officials, don't write anything down. Don't put anything in writing, because they knew this was nasty. Also, it looks like the P tape came from the Democrats. It never even came from the Russians. It never even came from the Ritz-Carlton. It came from that Dolan cat that created the P tape. Also, a bunch of agents at the FBI and the Department of Justice refused to cooperate with John Durham. So we still don't even really know the full truth. And told you. He wasn't going to deliver.
Yeah. Jessica, where do the American people go to get 2 years of the presidency that they voted for back? Because the president was under this cloud nonstop during his presidency.
Admit we should get a redo.
Who needs to apologize?
We can't survive the redo of that. And frankly, Donald Trump got some of his best moments out of the, quote, Russia collusion.
Did the American people?
He fed off of it.
Oh, come on. No, I mean, really?
He did.
I mean, who benefited? You're saying someone actually benefited from this?
Trump, who is a showman, benefited by being a victim of this. And that's why he continues to proliferate the image that he is a victim. He did it last week in his town hall. Okay. Here's the thing with the John Durham investigation. If all of what Jesse just said is true, why are there no new charges? Why does someone put out a 306-page report? I think that's what it was. And everyone then just goes home, goes about their business.
It's an inside job, Jessica.
You can't if you keep losing this much,
they protect their own.
Maybe they're just losers, right? Maybe there isn't truth to what you've been arguing all along here by just saying no, because you charge the report. So, two things about the report. The report says that there's truth and that the point of this was to find whether any person or entity violated the law. John Durham could say all this, but he doesn't find any legal law breaking. Otherwise, he would bring new charges. He tried 3 times. He has 1 low-level conviction and 2 acquittals. Basically came up with bupkis after 4 years of wasting.
So it's okay for the FBI to manipulate what the American people think based on lies?
It is absolutely not okay. I think that they should have told the Trump campaign if there were people that were trying to influence it.
Yeah.
But the only person who actually lost out by the FBI was Hillary Clinton when Jim Comey got up there 11 days before the election and said that they had a second investigation opened into her emails and didn't find anything.
They saved her. This is a new statement that just came out that they want to make sure that we mention here. Former President Trump, this is his first statement about this. He says, I, and much more importantly than American public, have been victims of this long-running and treasonous charade started by the Democrats, started by Comey. There must be a heavy price to pay for putting our country through this.
There's no price. And that's the response. Because when you get too high up, nobody pays.
Right.
I just can't wait till I am falsely accused of something. I'm going to have so much fun because I hear it's great for your career. Yeah. Like the moment someone accuses me of something, Jessica, I'm going to run with it because, accuse me now of something, please.
I'm thinking something.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. Look, it was a point I made, I don't know, years ago that if you have people saying that the country will not survive Trump, then your moral duty is to cheat, right? And you should cheat. Like if somebody is telling everybody that this person is a modern-day Hitler, it is your duty to do whatever is possible to stop him. In fact, if you actually play by the rules, you're a traitor, right? So they created a devil that was so big and so vast, it made all actions permissible. And it made every institution, as the judge was saying, subject to suspicion. Right? So you can bury stories, you can create hoaxes, you can fund smears. It can go anywhere because this person must be stopped. It's Hitler, an existential threat. And so what happens is now we're left and none of it's true. And so we had a half a decade hoax that infected and undermined every institution because we were made to believe this person is evil. And then people make fun of people who are skeptical about an election. Why shouldn't they be skeptical about an election when the DOJ and the FBI and the mainstream media and the tech companies and the Chamber of Commerce are all in on the same thing? Why shouldn't the election be called into question, right? Shouldn't a hero try to fix the election, right? Shouldn't a hero do that? If you're up against Hitler, that's where we ended up. And you can't go and condemn people for so-called conspiracy theories when you were going around telling everybody this guy was worse than Hitler.
No, and if you listen to Jessica's argument, and you're going to be hearing this all day on the other networks, is that because the Justice Department didn't indict the Justice Department, that means everything was fine because they got away with it.
No, it means that if you have all these people who during the Mueller investigation from Trump's team, like his campaign manager, like Rick Gates, Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, et cetera, they were able to find real things to convict them of, and you can't find them on the Clinton side.
Locked up Republicans.
There's exculpatory evidence that they didn't hand over.
What's absolutely clear here is that this justice system is not blind. It had a lot of things on both sides, chose not to pursue those, chose to pursue the others, and that is a choice that should never be made by upstanding individuals in this environment.
And the Democrats weaponized the justice system, and America has no faith.
You're happy because you got away with it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.